The Fisherman Surf Workshop, brought to you by Penn and Spiderwire.
Hi, I'm Toby Lapinski, the managing editor of the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, and today we're fishing a back channel of an outflow. It's a location that does not require deep wading, so we're just wearing breathable waders, a dry top, and a wading belt. And as far as the gear, using a spinning reel. It does not need to be sealed because, again, it's not going underwater. So we're using a Penn Spinfisher V 6500 model, spooled with 50-pound Spiderwire Stealth braid. Braid in a situation like this provides a lot of advantages. We'll be throwing a lot of bucktail jigs, so it's easier to stay in contact with the lure. You feel every little nook and cranny as it bounces along the bottom. So we're going to get into 3 different lures that I'm going to use in a situation like this. The first being a rubber bait like a 9-inch Sluggo on a jig head, a rubber plastic lure on a jig head, and a darter. These are all lures that I'll use in a situation like this where we've got some current flow, deep water at times. They're all very productive at mimicking a wide range of forage species. We've got silver sides, there's mullet in here today, we've seen some peanut bunker, so we've got a wide variety of bait fish. These all great at mimicking those or the things which prey upon them, which the striped bass then in turn will feed upon as well. So I'm going to start off. The first thing I'm throwing here is a 9-inch Sluggo on a 1-ounce head. And basic idea, we've got the current flowing from left to right, so I'm going to cast up current a little bit, let it hit the bottom, and just stay in contact and retrieve as it swings down past. Got a little hump out in front here, so we're going to come up the shallow, up over the top and down the back, and hopefully there's a couple of fish sitting in there as well. Cast it out, up current, let it sink down. And once it hits, we just start that slow retrieve, and again, it's just swimming right along near the bottom where the striped bass are sitting, waiting for the bait to come by so they can ambush it. You can use different size heads for these situations. With the Sluggos, I find the 1-ounce in the areas that I fish generally work well. I like it just heavy enough to tick bottom, and as the tide, with the Sluggo, as the tide increases or the current increases, I'll just adjust how far up current I cast. I'm always casting a little further out, a little closer in, working the entire stretch of the water. So next up is a bucktail jig with a trailer. I'll carry a range of sizes from 3/4 of an ounce up to 2, maybe 2.5 ounces, and I'll change sizes depending on the current flow. You can go with the lighter jig. You got to work it up current a little bit more, cast it up current more in order to mend 10 bottom better. Right now I'm going with a 1-ounce, so we're going to throw it up current a little bit of ways. Difference between a bucktail jig and, let's say, the rubber bait I was throwing before, provides a little bit wider profile. So with the peanut bunker that are around or the mullet, just a little better simulating those bait fish. But we still do the same basic thing. We're going to cast up current. When it hits, just let it sink down till it hits bottom. Once it's there, it's just a slow, steady swim. Tail that's on the back basically gives it all the action that I want. Again, some guys will add a whole lot of extra action to it. I find I do very well just with a steady retrieve and maybe the occasional pop, a little bit of extra action, not a whole lot though. I don't get very active with my jigs. But what I try to do is vary my cast distance. I'll cast across the channel, I'll do short, I'll do a little further up current, a little less up. That way you're covering every square inch of the bottom, hopefully finding those fish that are sitting down there in front of you. So this one I'm going to work it a little bit closer, just a little underhand flip. I find doing the underhand cast a lot of times helps me to stay closer as opposed to always casting far. I can make sure that I work that water at my feet. And a lot of times the fish are lying right up against the edge of the walls of these channels. You can achieve the same thing with the overhand cast, but I find it's just a little easier personally to make sure that I do the shorter cast by doing that little underhand flip. And the same thing, cast it up, it hit bottom, and we're swinging it right back in. And the hits can really come at any time in the retrieve. You can get a hit while it's sinking, while it's swinging, while it gets in close. So be prepared at any time to set the hook on anything that feels different. It could be a hit, it could be pause, a little bit extra weight, whatever you think is just different from that straight retrieve, set the hook. There we go, we're swinging it back down. Again, adding a little something every once in a while here, but for the most part, it's just a straight swim, and that tail, that might have been a hit. Again, set up on everything. But that tail is providing the action, looking like a little bait fish swinging along, getting pushed along by the current, and making an easy meal for a striped bass. So the third lure that we're going to use here is a darter. And what I'm representing with this is a middle of the food chain, snapper, bluefish, maybe a small striper, what have you, chasing and feeding on the small bait fish that we're seeing here in the channel today. So the idea is going to be to cast actually down current, just a little ways off from the shore, and I'm going to work it right back up tight. So again, that's where all this bait fish is being seen. I'm watching schools of silver sides right in front of me. So this is going to work right up through those bait fish, and hopefully striped bass is going to see it. It's going to look like the food chain in action, where this snapper blue is feeding on the silver sides that we see, and then hopefully a striped bass will step in and feed on this. We're casting this right down along the wall, and I'm just doing a slow, steady retrieve, occasional pop. Hopefully looking like a snapper bluefish, working on all this bait fish that I'm watching here. As I look down, I can see schools of silver sides and peanut bunker. We saw some mullet earlier. Maybe this will trigger the striped bass to see the food chain in action and step up and eat the snapper blue.
Hi, this is Mike Laptew, the diving fisherman. Next time you walk out to the end of a jetty and find big surf that's either too dangerous or difficult to fish, focus your efforts on the inside of the channel. Try some of Toby's techniques and you just might find an avenue of opportunity that can produce nice fish in a far safer environment. You can look forward to future Laptew production videos right here at the Fisherman magazine. I'll take you into the fish's world to give you a fish-eye view of some of the most important prey items on the East Coast.